Outer Orange. Orange here, and we are back here with a new nightmare doll, Tosca? I think her name is Tosca. Really amazing, reveal. Like, not really amazing reveal, I guess it's more of an exciting reveal, because, you know, nightmare dolls is kind of like a archetype that's not as loved, but it's really awesome to see this, so let's go ahead and talk about this new card and all the things about it, and all the stuff that it can bring to the Workeroid doll decks. So to start off with, I do have my own little Nightmare Doll deck. I've actually been playtesting it literally since the release of Carol. I just got into Vanguard about 5 months prior. I was playing Grand Blue and Gold Paladins mostly, and I wanted to try a new deck, and Pale Moon Silverthorn was way too expensive at the time. It was like a $300, $400 deck with everything, and it was just too pricey. And then I bumped into Carol, and I was like, man, she cute. I like dolls. I like dolls a lot, so I thought that was a really cool aspect, so I just got into building it. But anyway, so let's go on in and discuss our Workeroids, because I've built multiple versions of the Workeroid deck and rebuilt it so many times at this point. I do play it in premium now, so I know quite a lot about this deck, so let's go into it. So Tosca's, actually before we go into Tosca, I want to talk about her art. I think it's very important. So her art is just her jumping around, you know, being a little doll. She's really huge, bigger than, you know, the other stuff around her. But if you notice it, we're going to compare it here to Chelsea's art. She's in the same location as Chelsea is, and I think that's a big role to kind of what Chelsea's reveal is going to be like. If we just look at the difference, they're literally in the exact same place. Like in Chelsea's art, we see some red tents, and Tosca is also in, or Tosa, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not, English isn't my first language. But anyway, but you can tell that they're both in the same location, which is very interesting to, like, it's kind of like a pre-advance, like, kind of like a foreshadowing of, like, what Chelsea's gonna be like. But let's go on in and discuss what exactly Tosca does. So Tosca's skill is when placed from hand. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, put 1 Workeroid from among them into your soul, and shuffle your deck. So this skill is actually pretty decent. It's kind of hard to tell what it's going to be doing for Workeroids, and not that it's hard to tell. What it pretty much does is it adds soul, which is really good. It's pretty much a +1. And it's free. Like, there's no like counterblast, soul blast, nothing. It's just a straight one place from hand. But the thing is, the deck is currently lacking like 3 main things, and this kind of helps fix a little bit of the issue, but there's still like a main issue that needs to be fixed. So one thing that this does is this helps you get your ride going for Carol, which is actually really good. Because part of the Carol engine is that you want to have a Carol in Soul to loop Carol, and if you don't have a Carol in Soul, you're gonna have a really rough time, and this kind of helps with getting that through. Another thing this does is this does filter out your deck just a little bit, because you actually get to choose what you put in, which I love. I love being able to choose what you put in, which is one of my favorite parts. This is also a Vanguard rearguard skill, which is really good, by the way. This helps boost Jumping Jill just a little bit more. Jumping Jill is a when placed from rearguard type, when placed from a soul type of skill, so if she's in soul, that's already nice. Usually you have to ride her to kind of get her in there soon. Now we can kind of skip that and just stick her in there, which I think is good. She also helps cards like this. So we recently got a, this is called Maroon. We recently got Maroon in our old set, not our most recent Pale Moon set. And Maroon's skill is when a Workeroid rides on top, when Workeroid rides that's not on top of her, she pops out. So she's not bad, but she's not like a great card, because one, it's kind of like a soul blast pretty much, because you're pretty much soul blasting her out but putting her on the field, and Workeroids really struggle with just soul in general, so this kind of like negates your soul, but she's also on the board. I tried playtesting her, and she does give you extra ways to have a board, but she's not good enough to want to keep her in a deck, because there's too many grade 1 slots, which is something else I want to discuss. So as I explained, there's 3 issues that Carol has. The Carol Workeroid deck. So one, meeting the condition of having a second Carol in Soul is not always consistent, because you either have to top deck a top 5 with her skill to get it, or somehow reride again, but that's usually a second reride, which means a second grade 3 turn, which means you might die by then. Her other issue is having inconsistency with Soul and having the stuff you need in Soul actually be hackable. And there's actually technically like almost kind of a third issue, and it's gonna sound weird, but it's Excel markers. So if you're going first and it is your turn, chances are you're not going to kill your opponent, because you actually don't have enough space to put everything out to initiate all your attacks. So the key is you want to put a bunch of grade 3s in Soul and all that stuff, but you only have like rear guard A, rear guard B, and then your Excel marker slot, right? So you can put your Alice up there, put a Chimera, and put an Armorth, right? But like the chances of that like synergy happening and is anyway kind of lacking. But you can't usually, like the only time you really have like a pop-off turn is pretty much when you have 2 or more Excel markers. So I think like not having enough Excel markers can kind of screw you over. I know this sounds weird because you re-ride into more Excel markers, but that's cool and all, but you're re-riding during battle phase, so those Excel markers are kind of, it doesn't really matter too much anyway. Like you're just gonna be recalling stuff out for with Alice's skill to the same rearguard circles, but you can't, it's hard to call out grade 3s onto the board, and that's kind of like what I'm hoping will be fixed, that there will be more consistency in how the engine works. The engine is actually a really interesting engine. It's smart, and it's definitely a really good like killer engine, but it lacks like consistency to get the engine rolling. So that's why I'm saying like another Excel marker actually might help it, which is something that maybe Chelsea will be doing. Who knows? I know that sounds crazy, because you know Excel is broken. It's kind of spooky to have another Excel marker, but this is a deck that really lacks consistency in certain levels, so it actually wouldn't be too bad. Going in, so this skill can kind of help. This card will kind of help you want to run a more Workeroid type engine again. I used to run straight Workeroids, but the thing is like cards like this and this are really hard to pop off, and like especially this card's really good to have in Soul, so just another good thing for that card, you could put it in Soul. It's really hard to pop things off properly because of the consistency. You can get up there with the numbers if you really like sack with crazy, but it's still kind of hard to just have like a really solid a turn without getting shut down or missing your stuff or not having carols. I think this card's actually pretty solid. Will it be run in all Workeroid decks? It's really hard to tell at the moment, because there's so many grade 1 slots that need to be taken up for Workeroid currently. So like for instance, we need Beverly. Beverly's a main staple, and we need our grade 3 searcher, because we're so reliant on getting Carol into Soul, or getting Carol in general, because without Carol the deck completely falls apart. Like if you ride Nightmare Doll Alice, that's it. It's pretty much game over at that point, unless you somehow survive farther enough to where you can keep it going. Like riding Alice is pretty much like the end of like you're pretty much going to your death. That being said, we need more consistency with getting Carol in. And hopefully we'll start getting more and more cards that kind of utilize this effort to get more cards in. But overall, like I said, it's kind of hard. We need Masquerade Bunny to get the Carol as quickly as possible, to do Carol things as quickly as possible. Masquerade Bunny kind of like pushes that a little bit further, but hopefully we'll see more cards like maybe even Chelsea that will kind of help us push it even further. But yeah, that's pretty much like the main things I wanted to discuss. I think this card has potential. Really hard to tell if the card will be worth playing. It really just depends what Chelsea will bring to us. But so far, I think it's good. This also works with Harry, by the way. Something I noticed back when I was playing Harry is that all his like secondary cards, I don't know if Harry himself I think is an elf, but all his secondary cards are Workeroid cards actually. This does work with that. Is it useful? No, it's not useful. Mostly just because you usually want to guard with your cards to put them into Soul. You don't want to just actively put them into Soul. You don't really need to do that unless you want that super consistency of being able to put stuff into Soul. But you would have to run 4 copies of this card, which loses the consistency for like other Harry stuff. Like you want to have as many Harry cards as possible to make all the Harry stuff work. Well, if you put this in, this isn't a Harry card, so it kind of ruins the consistency there. But it does work here. It does work here. So we will see what this does for us, guys. I'm super hyped. I've been playing Workeroids for literally over a year. I actually just created a deck profile that I will be releasing sometime soon. Like within probably by like Sunday or Saturday it would be out. But I really like Workeroids. It's one of my favorite decks to play aside from like literally Grand Blue decks. So it's really high up there for things I like to do in terms of Vanguard. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. I love Pale Moon. I love everything about Pale Moon, and I really hope that this card brings us more synergy. Anyway, guys, that's all. Please leave me a question below. I will happily answer it in my next video. All that fun stuff. As always, thank you for watching. All that awesome stuff. I'm sorry if I'm a little tired. I just woke up after taking like 2 finals last night, and that's why I couldn't get this video out sooner. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Bye. There's one more thing I want to note. This card's a promo. I really hope it comes to America. That's all I gotta say to that. Come to America, please. Please come to America. Please.